Oh, hey. That started faster than I thought. We're almost on time today. 8:48. Only about 3 minutes off. Ugh. Oh boy. Today is one of those days. Of course, it's one of those days. It's one of every day. And I dressed appropriately. This pretty much summarizes everything that's going on this week. Okay, so updates on the teacher life. So I have to report back to answer the call of duty. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you can go back and watch some of my other live streams. And yeah, I have to report back tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow at in the morning. Um, so that kind of throws a little wrench in some plans. What I originally wanted to do this week was get students started on another project, and I could do that. I could do that because I'll have all my students today. Today's that Wednesday schedule where we see everybody all on the same day. So I could have started them on a project and then given them a week to work on it, and then we come back and review it. But I really wanted to be able to have students work on that, sort of review it on that Thursday, Friday schedule, so that they could work on it over the weekend and, not be overly confused, going into the weekend and still having questions and unresolved issues with a project. That's kind of rough. And I just kind of like to be there for that. Also, it's all of this having to report for duty has kind of thrown a little mental wrench in things. It's not just about having the projects. Do I do the project? Do I not do the project? Is this ready? But it also it messes with your head a little bit because now I'm thinking about this other thing. This other thing has come to the forefront of my mind. And yeah, I should be thinking about, job and teaching and planning and, everything else I got going on. But now all of a sudden I've got this other urgency that's kind of like, hey, pay attention to me. And so it's distracting is what it is. It's kind of thrown a little wrench into the works, if you will. And that happens. That kind of thing happens. Fortunately, in teaching, most of the time you get a little wiggle room, a little flexibility. Is it really going to horribly negatively impact the lives of your students if you push something back a week? Probably not. Unless you're like preparing for a specific event or something, which we are not. It's okay if you have to, throw on a video or, do some filler lesson plan, because think of it this way. If you were to get sick one day, you wouldn't be able to go in anyway. You have to have a sub. And yeah, maybe you could plan it so that everything's sort of on autopilot and it's something that the sub can take over. But it's going to be better if you're there and you can run that, you can manage that a little bit smoother because what's going on. It's easier just to run the lesson than to explain it to somebody else, all within, I don't know, maybe a couple of minutes, or you don't even get to meet the person. It's just a note written and then you have no idea if the instructions are being followed. So usually when I have a sub, which we're going to have a sub tomorrow, since I'm going to be out all day, since we're having a sub tomorrow, I'm most likely going to keep it very simple, have her take roll. And then what I want to do is actually have students do like a check for understanding. This particular sub is really energetic and likes talking with and meeting students. Hopefully she can sort of draw some of that out and make some of the kids unmute and talk to her. But what I'm thinking about having everyone do is just like answer the question. What's one thing you've learned in woodshop this year? I know it's simple. It's almost too simple, but at the same time, you have to periodically check in and be reflective. And sometimes, having a third party like a substitute or someone who just comes in to your classroom, whether it's a principal, admin, someone, having your students just sort of reiterate, hey, this is something that we learned, and then having all or a lot of your students sort of chime in and adding to that discussion. Being able to reiterate what to sort of go back and take an inventory of the things that you've learned or the things that students have learned over a set period of time is actually a really good tool for solidifying that knowledge. When you get to the end of a course or the end of a semester, it's really kind of nice to be able to, take stock of where you were and how far you've come, so that you don't leave it with the impression that, oh, what'd you learn this year? Oh, I didn't learn anything. That's not true. Well, for some kids, that's true, but it's not really true. You do learn something, and it's worth it to get kids to be able to recognize that, oh yeah, we learned about we learned about safety around the house and around the garage, and we learned about different types of wood joinery, and we learned what Lauer's house looks like. Sometimes the kids will surprise you too. Sometimes you ask them a question that, in your mind you're thinking, okay, tie this back to the academics, and their mind is on, that time that you brought your cat up on screen and, showed them your pets or your kids or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you've got the big fluffy cat who's old and grumpy, and you've got the little cat who's, you call him Little Ding Ding. The kids will glom onto the silliest things, and that's okay too. It shows you that they're paying attention to at least something. If they're paying attention to your cat, then there's a good chance that they picked up something else along the way, that was actually important. But yeah, that brings us back to planning. So I haven't even written out a checklist for today yet. This is all I've written so far. Question. Profit. Somehow. It is also St. Patrick's Day, so I have my green light on. It's more of a teal light, I think. I thought I had a green filter, a greener filter, but I got my green on. And this shirt, subject to change, is a favorite motto of a YouTuber and streamer. I guess he does stream too. Named Shadowfrax. So I'm just going to call him out there. I'll put a link to his channel in the description down below when I'm done with this. But those of you who know me, I'm quite an avid gamer, and one of my favorites for the last several years has been Rust on PC. It is coming out for console, but I have no plans to play it for console because it's kind of a dumbed down version, I think. From what I've seen. But anyway, so Shadowfrax, his channel, he puts out a lot of Rust updates. So like what's up and coming in developer news and sort of thing. I don't know if he's actually tied to the developers or not, or if he just does it. But anyway, so one of his mottos whenever he's putting out stuff that the developers are considering is that everything's subject to change, as in this may not make it into the final product. And I thought it was appropriate today for this stream, for this episode, because we're talking about flexibility. The best laid plans of mice and of men, as they say. When you are lesson planning as a teacher, and I'm sure this goes for other ventures, other professions as well. When you're planning, a lot of times what you plan out to have happen in a day or a week or a month, a lot of times it's not going to go the way that you planned. Everything is subject to change, or at least a lot of it is. And being flexible, being able to pivot when you need to, when you recognize that, hey, this lesson that I wanted to do today, I'm not going to be able to do because I'm going to be out. I'm sick. I've got jury duty. The supplies aren't right, or these other steps have not been done. Or sometimes it's something with the students like, hey, I thought they were going to be at this level by this time, but it turns out they're not. It turns out that, we still need to review something that, they just completely, weren't able to grasp. And that makes you push things back. Or sometimes it's the other way. You plan out this whole lesson thinking, oh yeah, it's going to take them, X amount of time to finish. And it takes half as much time because I can't snap today. There we go. They just finish everything like super fast, and it just clicks with them. You feel good because you're like, oh yeah, man, I really planned that. I did a great job on teaching there. But then you realize, oh, I'm a couple days that I need to fill up with something. And you don't necessarily have to, as a teacher, you don't necessarily have to throw in more like dense, efficient, I don't want to call it high quality because that kind of implies that, certain tasks are low quality, and that's not really true. But really dense, super rigorous work, you don't necessarily have to fill every second of every day with rigorous work. It can be something that's a little bit different, that's maybe a little easier, would be a little easier for your students, but it's it's different. It's a change of pace. That can be just as valuable as, doubling down and, getting really deep into a subject, when you're trying to fill in some gaps there. For me, instead of getting kids started on the project today, what I'm actually I'm going to have to wrap this up here in about a minute. What I'm planning on having students do today is read some kind of article. We've been talking about safety and first aid and that sort of thing this week, and I think it would be a good idea to have sort of a continuation of that topic. I kind of like to keep things in the same topic from in the same week. It's easier for the kids to sort of stay focused on that when it's not broken up by a weekend. But yeah, probably some sort of reading article and then tie that into a discussion. Our Wednesday schedules are really short. It's just like 25 minutes per class period, which is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. It is what it is. So we'll probably do something simple like that. And then the other thing too is my Thursday, Friday schedule. It's a block day. So Thursday, I see 2 of my classes, and Friday, I see my other 3 classes. But if I am going to have a sub tomorrow and they're going to do whatever activity, I kind of need to do a similar activity. Like I can't move forward with my Friday schedule because I know for me, that's really going to throw me off having, 2 classes on one schedule and 3 classes on a different schedule, at least for that subject area that I'm teaching. So whatever I do tomorrow with the sub, I'm going to have to do something similar, assuming that I'm, don't have a sub on Friday, because that could happen. I'm going to have to do something similar with my Friday group to sort of keep them on pace. And that's more for my sanity than anyone else's. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Flexibility is the name of the game when you're teaching. Not sweating the little things. If you're gonna lesson plan or unit plan, this goes for parents too. Don't stress too much if you find some downtime or you have to move things around. The kids are going to feel the same way about the experiences they feel anyway. happy, sad, annoyed, bothered, they're going to feel the same. Just keep just keep moving forward, and just remember that things are subject to change. All right, folks. I will talk to you later. Oh, I have to report early tomorrow, so there's not going to be a live stream tomorrow. We'll see about Friday. I'm not going to make any special announcements or anything. If I see you, I see you, or if you see me, you see me, and that's just pretty much it. But as soon as I'm able, I will be back here talking to you guys. All righty, have a good one.